Welcome to the DX Today podcast, where you get the facts and no hype.
Great to be here, Alex.
Today, we are tackling a subject that is fundamentally reshaping the pharmaceutical industry. We aren't talking about standard predictive AI anymore. The report we have in front of us is incredibly detailed, suggesting that this technology is moving us from drug development cycles that take years down to just months.
That's right, and it is important to make that distinction immediately. We have seen AI in pharma for a decade, mostly in predictive modeling, but agentic AI is different. It's characterized by autonomous systems that can reason, plan, and actually execute tasks across the workflow.
It sounds like a massive leap from a static tool to an active participant.
It is.
These systems are revolutionizing the industry by accelerating timelines, reducing costs, and enhancing precision. The evidence we are looking at synthesizes over 15 authoritative sources. We are seeing a projection of market growth that supports a complete overhaul of how drugs are discovered. Let's define exactly what we mean by agentic AI in this context.
Exactly. They are LLMs integrated with specific tools. They have perception, computation, action capabilities, and memory. This allows them to autonomously navigate complex biomedical workflows.
So instead of a human researcher querying a database, the agent does it.
It goes much further than just querying.
These agents perform literature synthesis, toxicity prediction, automated synthesis planning, and even drug repurposing. They compress processes that usually take months into hours. And crucial to the science, they ensure traceability. That traceability piece is vital for regulatory purposes.
That is the game changer. Traditional AI might predict a molecule's property. An agentic system iteratively refines hypotheses.
It interfaces with robotic platforms to physically execute experiments, learns from the result, and tries again. It's a loop of thinking and acting.
I want to look back at how we got here. The historical context in the report traces this back to the 2010s.
Correct. In the 2010s, we had early applications in chemoinformatics and predictive modeling.
Yes, ReAct, or reasoning and acting, emerged around 2022. It enabled LLMs to interleave thought and action. By 2025, we saw the evolution into architectures like reflection, supervisor, and swarm. These introduced self-critique, hierarchical delegation, and multi-agent collaboration.
It moved very fast.
The report notes that by late 2025, agentic systems were emerging in operational settings, documented by actual preprints and not just theoretical papers. It aligns with the broader proliferation of AI agents in biotech. We are seeing multimodal data integration, combining genomics and robotics, driving this forward.
Let's talk about the market impact. The numbers here are staggering.
They are.
The Agentic AI market in drug discovery is poised for explosive growth. We are looking at a compound annual growth rate exceeding 40% through 2030, $5 billion in AI pharma investment, and the cost savings are equally impressive.
That is the metric every CFO is watching. $6 billion per candidate to under $1 billion. That is achieved by predicting failures early and optimizing trials.
The report breaks this down by segment. It seems compound screening is taking the largest share.
It is. Compound screening holds about 30% of the market, driven by high-throughput virtual assays. Target identification has 25%, and clinical trial design sits at 20%.
And geographically, North America is leading the charge?
North America dominates with 55% of the market.
That is largely due to regulatory support and massive data availability. But if you look at the operational benefits quantified in early deployments, we are seeing 50 to 70% timeline compression and 20% higher success rates.
I want to get into the technical deep dive section of the report. This is where we understand how these things actually work. You mentioned ReAct earlier.
Right.
ReAct alternates reasoning traces with environmental interactions. So for a task like literature synthesis, the AI thinks about what it needs to find, searches, reads, and then reasons again. And reflection?
Reflection adds a self-evaluation loop. The agent critiques its own work to refine hypotheses before moving forward. Supervisor models handle task orchestration, essentially a manager agent directing other agents.
Swarm systems allow for collaborative multi-agent execution. This is particularly useful in complex tasks like synthesis planning. And these agents are connected to real tools, right? They aren't just working in a text vacuum.
Precisely. They are coupled with perception tools like biomedical APIs, PubChem or ChemBell. They use computation tools like molecular dynamics simulators, such as AlphaFold 3.
And critically, they have action interfaces that connect to robotic labs for small molecule synthesis.
The report mentions vector databases as well.
That acts as the agent's memory. When doing toxicity prediction, for example, agents process heterogeneous data, genomics, assays, literature, via retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. They output ranked candidates with confidence scores.
It mentions quantum-enhanced simulations too.
That amplifies the capabilities even further. It enables that closed-loop experimentation we discussed, where agents design, execute, and iterate autonomously. For drug repurposing, they query knowledge graphs and simulate binding affinities, achieving 10 times faster candidate prioritization.
The benchmarks are impressive. 80% reproducibility gains over manual workflows.
It solves the reproducibility crisis that has plagued biology for years.
However, we have to look at the challenges. The report is clear that this isn't without hurdles.
No, it's not. Data heterogeneity is a major issue. Biomedical data is siloed and often messy, which hinders seamless integration.
And reliability. We hear about LLMs hallucinating.
That remains a critical risk.
There are privacy concerns as well.
Huge ones. Pharma relies on proprietary datasets. There are also regulatory gaps. As of 2026, the FDA guidelines for AI-generated evidence were still evolving.
And scalability?
Scalability is tough when you are dealing with multi-agent swarms handling petabyte-scale omics data. The compute costs, especially with quantum integrations, are high. Plus, there are ethical challenges, like bias amplification in rare disease modeling due to sparse data.
Despite the challenges, the case studies provided in the report are compelling proof points. Let's walk through the in silico medicine example.
This is a classic example of success. In silico deployed Agentic AI for idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, or IPF. They used generative agents to design novel TNIC inhibitors.
How did the agents contribute specifically?
They integrated multi-omics data, predicted AIDMET profiles, that's absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity, and planned the synthesis routes.
And the result was the candidate INS018055?
Yes, it entered phase 2 trials in 2023. That was just 18 months from target identification. The industry average is 4 years. The report cites a 90% cost reduction on that program.
That is a massive efficiency gain. Let's look at the second case study, recursion.
Recursion's operating system used agentic workflows to screen 25 petabytes of cellular imagery. They were looking for rare diseases.
They employed swarm agents for high-throughput analysis.
And they found a candidate for cerebral cavernous malformation?
They identified REC994. The agents didn't just find the drug, they optimized the trials via real-time cohort simulation. It boosted the success probability by 35% and reduced screening time from weeks to days.
The third case study is Exscientia.
Exscientia's Centaur Chemist agent is fascinating. It autonomously designed over 3,000 compounds for LSD1 inhibitors. It interfaced directly with robotic synthesis.
And it used those reflection loops you mentioned?
Exactly. It refined its designs based on assay feedback. They delivered the candidate EXS21546 to the clinic in just 12 months. That is a 40-fold efficiency gain over traditional methods.
Looking forward, what does the report project for 2030?
The outlook is bold. By 2030, we are expecting fully autonomous discovery labs. These will integrate quantum computing for protein folding at scale and utilize real-time genomic feedback loops.
It mentions lab-in-the-loop systems.
That's where multimodal agents fuse vision language models with robotics.
They are targeting 90% trial success rates via predictive simulations.
And regarding personalized medicine?
Precision medicine will dominate. Agents will tailor therapies to polygenic risks. We also expect the FDA's AI sandbox to accelerate approvals as regulation catches up.
There is also a note on synthetic biology.
Yes, the convergence with synthetic biology promises de novo pathway engineering.
We could be seeing 10 new modalities annually. So, for the pharmaceutical leaders listening, what are the strategic recommendations? What should they be doing right now?
The report is clear. Invest in hybrid human-agent teams. You need to prioritize modular architectures so your systems can talk to each other.
What about data privacy?
You have to build proprietary datasets, perhaps using federated learning to address privacy concerns. And you must establish AI governance frameworks that align with emerging ISO standards. Companies like Anthropic or xAI, you need custom LLMs tuned on pharma corpora. You can't just use an off-the-shelf model.
And where should they start piloting these agents?
Start in high failure stages, like lead optimization.
Use agentic swarms there. Measure the ROI via standardized KPIs like cycle time and hit rates.
And budget allocation?
The recommendation is to allocate 15 to 20% of R&D budgets to agentic infrastructure by 2027. Focusing on rare diseases is a good strategy for quick wins.
It seems we are at a pivotal moment.
We are.
Agentic AI is the force that will compress timelines, slash costs, and unlock personalized therapies. The evidence is there across the pipeline. Sustained innovation and rigorous validation are what will cement its role.
My pleasure, Alex.
And thank you for listening to the DX Today podcast. We'll see you next time.